Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, quick video, man. You guys know I'm very transparent on my channel. I keep it a buck, give you my insight, my thoughts, and that's really the program here. And I gotta admit, man, not that I doubt it, I'll just wait for things to unfold. There were a lot of naysayers when it came to Al Haymon, Showtime boxing, and I gotta say, Showtime is killing HBO, literally killing HBO in terms of their regular boxing programming. It's just it is what it is. And I just got to thinking today. So Joshua's fighting his #1 mandatory, KUBRAT PULEV, October 28th, live from Cardiff, Wales. I heard it did good sales, 70,000 plus seats or whatnot. So a big event. And Showtime just got the rights for that fight. Now, I know they've been working with Joshua for his last few fights. Charles Martin, I think, and on. Right? But I also thought about this. To me, the years I grew up in boxing, the heavyweight division was one of the biggest divisions. In fact, the guys in the little divisions didn't really get much shine like the heavyweight division. It wasn't until, like, you know what I mean, the Mayweathers, and also, like, I would say Mayweather, Pacquiao, and then after that maybe Donaire and some other guys kind of ushered in, Chocolatito most recently ushered in some of the lighter divisions. But those weren't spotlight divisions. It was kind of like middleweight and up, you know what I'm saying? Welterweight, yeah, you could say there's some good welterweight classic fights and stuff, but the heavyweight division was the rock. And I just thought about it. Showtime has both of the heavyweight fights that we want to see with the biggest stars and champions. Nobody else. HBO don't. Because Showtime has Anthony Joshua versus KUBRAT PULEV, and I am interested to see. I don't think this is the mega fight, but he was willing to fight Klitschko a second time. Klitschko is the one that decided to retire. So it's really not, I mean, Joshua, he has to go through the steps in the next order of business, which is his #1 mandatory. Meanwhile, you have Deontay Wilder, Bomb Squad, who's also taking care of one of Joshua's mandatories by fighting Luis King Kong Ortiz. And that fight's coming up in November. So you have back-to-back months of Showtime boxing top-level fights. That's just in the heavyweight division. That's not including the 154-pound, which I'm calling a tournament, because you have everybody with a name, with a belt, minus Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, who are fighting on the same night. And that's that card with Edeslandi Lara versus Terrell Goucher, an undefeated fighter. Lara, a champion, arguably should be undefeated because he definitely didn't lose to Paul Williams, and his loss to Canelo was controversial, right? If you really want to talk about Lara's resume, I think the Carlos Molina was a performance that you probably could have said he lost, if any, you know what I mean? But damn sure didn't lose to Paul Williams. Then you have Jared Swift Hurd, new champion, title defense against a veteran, Austin Trout. He has been beaten, but the guys that beat him are top-level guys, like Canelo, who we just seen last week, faced Gennady Golovkin and then scored a draw with him. Edeslandi Lara, who's also on the card. Jamal Charlo, who's, you know what I mean, the top dog, and just moved up in weight and knocked out the #1 mandatory. So Trout, he's also game, you know what I mean? And he also beat Miguel Cotto. People forget about that. They want to brush that Cotto loss under the rug. Cotto didn't look good in that fight. And then, of course, you have Erickson the Hammer Lubin versus Jermell Charlo, right? Which is a fight that, to me, could have been the main event. So as far as I'm concerned, where are those same people that were saying Al Haymon ruined this shit and he's the cancer for boxing, Showtime and PBC's going down? These are some great fights. And in fact, up until December, it's like Showtime. I mean, that I've heard of. I mean, December is a fight I want to look forward to. That's on ESPN. which is Vasyl Lomachenko-Rigondeaux. And there's a couple of other fights. They just announced Gabe Rosado versus Glenn Tapia, and I think that's going to be on ESPN too. I mean, that's a cool fight in terms of fan-friendly fight. Drink a beer, eat some popcorn. But I'm talking about meaningful fights. After Canelo Golovkin, the HBO schedule kind of went flat. I mean, you do have Sergey Kovalev. I'm going to watch his fight to see how he looks against Shabransky. But that's two guys who have recent losses. You know what I mean? So Showtime to me has some premier cards. Like, even if Kovalev fought Sullivan Barrera or Adonis Stevenson on HBO, I mean, those would be big fights, especially since Kovalev believes the only reason he lost to Andre Ward was because the ref cheated and Ward hit him with low blows. So I gotta be honest, man, Showtime is killing, especially since they're providing back-to-back fights like this. And the year's not even up. This is a great, phenomenal year, and I am impressed that the biggest heavyweight fights for the remainder of the year that we know about, Showtime has both of them. Anthony Joshua, KUBRAT PULEV, and Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz. Another thing I like about that is getting kind of like the UFC. The winners, since they're both on Showtime, let's say Joshua wins and let's say Wilder wins, that could build up a future fight for 2018. You know what I mean? Or let's say, I mean, any way you mix and match. Let's say Ortiz beats Wilder and Joshua wins versus Pulev. You know what I mean? That could set up that fight for 2018. They're already on the same network. So not only is Showtime doing a good job for this year, it's kind of future-proofing because they're making the right deals, like with Eddie Hearn. Obviously, this fight, the Joshua fight, is going to be televised by Sky Sports or whatnot in the UK. But I'm talking about as far as America and on American soil. And that just lets you know that the Eddie Hearn-Showtime relationship is still on good terms. Otherwise, he could take that fight elsewhere. But maybe they have a deal in place. So I think Showtime's doing a good job of not only the fights right now, but like I said, they're future-proofing it. So we should have some pretty intriguing fights that you can even build up for in the future. You know what I mean? Even that 154-pound card, whoever wins Jermell Charlo versus Erickson Lubin, I wouldn't mind seeing fight Trout versus Jared Swift-Hurd winner, or the main event winner, Edeslandi Lara, Terrell Goucher. I mean, it's getting good here, and I really have to admit that Showtime is really holding the torch, and I keep it fair and consistent. And the reason I know so vividly, on top of being a reporter, is that I have a subscription to Showtime and HBO. And my question to you is, on regular HBO, meaning excluding pay-per-view, and I'll explain in a second, what is your favorite cards? To me, the one that stands out is obviously Chocolatito versus Sor Rungvisai. That was a great card from top to bottom. The Superfly card. You had a Nui. He looked good. I enjoyed getting to see his American debut. The El Gallo Estrada versus Quadras fight was good. And then the Rungvisai Chocolatito rematch was good. But I'm not really thinking about a ton of regular HBO fights that I could think of that I'm super hyped for. You know what I mean? And that kind of lived up to. And the reason I'm excluding pay-per-view is because it doesn't matter if you have an HBO subscription or not, or a Showtime subscription or not. If you have a Showtime regular subscription, you still can't watch Mayweather-McGregor the night it airs. You have to buy the pay-per-view. Same thing with HBO. Canelo versus Golovkin was a good fight, but that wasn't on their regular network. Canelo versus Chavez Jr. wasn't on their regular network. You had to buy that in addition to their regular programming. You know what I mean? Ward Kovalev 2, etc. So the only regular HBO fight, and the other thing is Top Rank took a lot of their fighters and their biggest fights this year, and they took them to ESPN. Pacquiao Horn, ESPN. Vasyl Lomachenko, Mariaga, ESPN. Terrence Crawford, Ndongo, Undisputed, ESPN. So it's kind of left HBO real dry. The only fights I could even think of that have been on HBO, regular HBO, non-pay-per-view, would be the Chocolatito Superfly card, that rematch. They had a triple header with Joe Smith Jr., Sullivan Barrera, and then they had, who else was on the card? They had the Jezreel Corrales and Miguel Berchelt, Takashi Miura. And I mean, that wasn't the greatest fight. Kodo Kamagai, Miguel Berchelt, Francisco Vargas. I mean, and these are all spread out. Showtime's giving us like bow, back to back. You know what I mean? Every few months we're getting like Broner Granados. Listen, this is just off the top of my head real quick. Let's go through some of the quick months, right? January, James DeGale versus Badu Jack, war. On that undercard, they had Gervonta Tank Davis, who stepped up in class and got the IBF title against Jose Pedraza. Later that month, a fight I covered had Mikey, you guys know him as Mikey Garcia, knocking out Dejan Zlatican in the champion brutally. Main event was Leo Santa Cruz, Carl Frampton 2, right? February, another fight I covered, you had Adrian Broner fought Granados, Lamont Peterson on the undercard, David Avanesian, Marcus Brown, etc. Top Dog Williams. What month is that? February. March, you had Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, and everything that was on that card. April, you had, I think it was Kell Brook. It might have been Joshua Klitschko, and then the next month was Kell Brook versus Errol Spence Jr. You know what I mean? We had Broner, Garcia, card was stacked. Berto Porter was in April. I mean, there's a ton of fights at Showtime. This is just off the top of my head. You guys could really sit down and analyze it, but I went to a lot of them, so that's why I'm thinking, I'm like, damn, Showtime's put on a lot, and I can't think of that many fights like that on regular, keyword regular HBO. Triple G versus Jacobs, that was a great fight, great card. I went to that too, but that was a pay-per-view, so I didn't have to pay to get in. But if you watched it at home, you would have had to pay for HBO pay-per-view, and that was in March also. Let me know your thoughts. Showtime's kind of dictating the pace and setting themselves up for the future. They got all the heavyweight fights that I want to see immediately, at least. Let me know your thoughts. I think they can really do a great job of building to Joshua Wilder if they are both successful as champions, defending against their opponents, and it may be tough. But Anthony Joshua, KUBRAT PULEV did get secured by Showtime Boxing, and that relationship stays strong. It will be on Sky Sports in the UK. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.